So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start off sewing all around the outside, and then I'm going to do the diamond patterns. There's no specific way to do this. I like having my bat-in on the bottom of the sewing machine. It seems to work a little bit better than going with the presser foot. The presser foot will always seem to gather all of the batting. So I just put my presser foot at the very edge of the material and I start sewing. You're going to start with your back stitching as well to lock the stitch. So you're going to go all around it. And sometimes, as you'll notice here, it got a little bit caught in the batting, but you just have to kind of push it off and keep going. Going to go around the corners a bit. And then when you're done, all of it, you can always just trim off the excess batting around the outside. We can keep the pins in, so basically you just start anywhere you want. I'm just going to start randomly, and I'm just going to do one diagonal stitch right across, and I'm going to have to take some pins out as I go along. Lock your stitch. You're going to do probably one more along this way, and then you're going to do it the opposite way. So I'll show you the opposite way. So I've already done one diagonally, and you're going to just do the opposite way. And then you just have to continue that for the entire piece. So you're slowly going to get a little bit of a diamond effect going along. And that just again is going to seal your batting to your inside hand piece. So now we're going to put the pieces together. Now that we've created all of our pieces, put our quilting in them, we're going to start making the inside of the oven mitt. You're going to take one of your top pieces and your bottom pieces and put the right sides together, because this is going to be the inside of your oven mitt. That's what you're going to see. So you don't need your mouthpiece yet. All you have to do is pin along the side. You're only going to pin to where it starts to curve on the piece. I'll show you on the pattern to make it a little bit easier. You're only going to sew up to this line. So you're going to sew along here, and you're going to sew along here. Leave the rest of this open, because that's where we're going to attach the mouthpiece. So you're going to have it pinned. Remember, right sides together. And this is when it gets a little bit tricky, because you have the batting on the bottom and the batting on the top. So sometimes your sewing machine will get a little bit cranky, but we'll try our best. Okay, so now I'm done sewing. You're going to have something that looks like this. All the inside's nice. This outside is just going to be covered by your outside shell, so it doesn't really matter how it looks. I was going to serge, but I'm kind of lazy, so I think I'm not. But basically, one little hint I'd like to give you, because I noticed I had some problems too, is that you're going to pin the whole thing all the way around, but don't forget to sew it in two separate bits. So you're going to start there, sew along all of the top corner and end there. Once you get there, you're going to flip it, and then again match up with your seam and sew along the thumb piece until you meet the corner. You can't continuously do it, or it's gonna be kind of funny. So remember to do it in two bits. Start at the corners, go along the arches, flip it, and then sew it again. And now basically you have the inside of your oven mitt done, and we're at the halfway point. So now we're going to start on the outside shell, which is pretty much just like this, but we have a little bit of add-ons to do. So now that we're attaching the shell together, the outside shell, if you want to add a little ribbon or a little hook so that you can hang up your oven mitts, this is the point that you're going to want to do it at. I took my piece, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to have it facing the inside. So remember, you have a little bit of a seam allowance, so how far you want it to be. I want mine to stick out about that much, a little bit more. So you're going to have that on the inside, so when you have your two pieces together and they're flipped inside out, that'll be sticking out. So then you're going to want to put your other piece on top, you're going to line them up, and now at this point you're going to pin and then sew. Okay, so this is the point now that you're going to add your teeth if you choose to use them. We have both of them cut out, so you're just going to want to find the middle by folding it. And you're going to want to see how far you want them sticking out. So I think about here is good. And then you're just going to want to pin. You're going to want to pin at a little bit of an angle to kind of have them curve along. I would suggest pinning fairly well so you don't have any of the material bunching. The good thing with felt, the reason I use the felt for the teeth is because felt doesn't fray. So you don't have to do any finishing edges on the felt, and it will be fine the whole time. So as you see, I'm kind of trying to keep the same width across, and then when I sew it, the teeth are going to hang out. So I'm going to do that to both sides, and then when I'm done, I'm going to sew them before I attach them to the outside part of the oven mitt. It'll be a little bit easier so you don't have a whole bunch of pins hiding inside of it, and you don't have to go over 10 sets of pins. So I think we're almost good. Then of course you're going to sew along it. You're going to do this for the top and for the bottom on both of the pieces. So I've sewed my teeth to my piece of fabric, and this is how they're going to kind of look in the end. You got to be mindful that they're not going to be this prominent because you have another seam allowance to go there. What I did is after I pinned it on, I can see that white thread there. I sewed really closely to the edge. It's just to affix them there so that they're not all wobbling around while you're sewing. So in the end, you're going to have a big scary dragon mouth. So now that you have both pieces inside each other, hello Ophelia, this is Ophelia. Kitties like to help sometimes. But what I like to do is, once I have both my pieces inside each other, I like to flatten them out, and I'm going to sew along this edge here. Once I've sewed along this edge, it's going to look a lot like this. And I've trimmed it nicely, and then I'm just going to put on some bias tape to go all around there. So I think I'm just going to make some black bias tape with some of the extra material I have to finish off this edge. Once you've done that, your basic oven mitt is actually complete. This is the point where you're going to want to adjust the length of your oven mitt. I like mine a little bit longer. But yeah, if you want to change it now, this is when you change it. You also have the option to of folding it in upon itself twice. I think it's a little bulky for my liking, so I'm going to use some bias tape. So I have to go feed the cats now, and I will show you once I put on the bias tape. Okay, so now I've finished the edges on them. I tried bias tape, as you can see, but I'm probably the world's worst at making and putting on bias tape. So once I put it on, I just folded it, and I just sewed two seams down the side. So basically this is going to be your finished project. Got lots of nice insulation in there. I just made the eyes out of, it's Fimo or Sculpey. You can just get that at any craft store. It's pretty inexpensive. It's just that baked clay, and put on the eyes with some permanent marker, sewed them on. I still have a little bit of work to do. They're still not on quite as tight as I want. I have to kind of adjust them a little bit on both eyes. I'm thinking about putting on a nose. I'm just not sure, and some other adornments, but I'm getting a little tired for tonight. So I think that is where we're going to stop. So basically, here are how you make your oven mitts. You can create anything you want, make whatever kind of eyes you want, and there you go. So how to make your own puppet oven mitts.